It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Flying down from Nova Scotia today.
This nation was founded by men of many nations and backgrounds.
I have a dream.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another bonus segment of Captain Samurai. There we go.
Samurai.
Captain Samurai. Sounds like a new superhero.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah. So Garrett and I here. How you doing today, Garrett?
Awesome. I appreciate you always. I like these bonus segments because we're getting more content out there. Plus, it helps because my co-host Steve has been an absolute fucking slacker. So all the people that follow us, make sure you get on Steve's ass. I appreciate it. And Steve, get fucked. Thanks.
Sorry about my background again. I don't think I'm going to be doing the background until it's air conditioning season anymore because it's just too much of a pain in the ass. It's too hot in here. So anyway, so what are we talking about today, buddy? We got a few conspiracies. You know, before we get into it, funny, I was listening to something, and it was this guy talking about conspiracies, and some woman was like, "Oh, it's nothing but conspiracies with you," and he corrected her and goes, "Conspiracy. It's one big interconnected conspiracy." And I was thinking to myself, like, holy shit. Yeah.
It is.
Could it's
Dude,
one...
it's a giant RICO act.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a giant RICO act. Like anytime anybody brings up like the thing like, oh, okay, it's a conspiracy, it's a this. I'm like, that's how they put away the mob, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking. Yeah.
You know, I never, you know, to bring up the mob, when I learned when Giuliani took down the mob and how the mob was running the concrete construction business.
Mm-hmm.
So it was 9 families, aka, and I think that equated to like 9 or 8 businesses, right? All those businesses. Now, obviously, there was the extortion and the murder and you know, breaking all the laws.
Also known as the Clintons. Continue.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Okay. So the deal was in New York that any contract over $2 million had to go to one of these 9 families. So everybody else that was a contractor could do $1.8 million, 0.9 and below and still make plenty of money and still feed their family and do what they got to do. But all the big contracts went to you. You still had a market to choose from. You had 9 different. You know what I mean? Like there was nothing wrong. Like
it wasn't just Apple. It wasn't just Google. It
right.
wasn't just Facebook. And Facebook owned all the companies. It was still 9 separate families. So you still had 9 separate choices of who you were going to do business with. And then they would divvy it up amongst themselves, right?
Yes. And then now, okay, so you own a gym. Now, what type of gym is it? It's jiu-jitsu, right? Or
yeah, we do jiu-jitsu, kickboxing. Okay. So let's say mixed martial arts.
It's an MMA gym. There is 100 MMA gyms in the state of New Jersey. There has to be a top 9, top 10, top 5 that get the most business, whether it's yours or not. In a business setting, there is the top of the pyramid that gets the bigger contracts. Minus the killings and the extortions, business-wise, they weren't doing anything wrong as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I have a take on this too. I say it all the time. I'm sure my listeners have heard me say it all the time. All the government did was look at the fucking Mafia's business model and go, wow, that is a fantastic business model. Let's take them out and let's implement ourselves into there. And by implementing themselves, now your crime bosses are the governors. and their capos are the colonels of the state police and the local, sheriffs and stuff like that. Then their lieutenants are all the mayors, and then it goes down and down, and then the foot soldiers are the people working the polls, et cetera, right?
Yeah.
And everybody gets their flow, everybody gets their kickback, everybody gets their piece of power, and they basically just took out the crime families and instilled themselves in it. And then this is why the RICO Act, they had to apply the RICO Act to this, is because it is an effective game plan, because nobody talks to the governor, nobody talks to the boss, right? That's how it goes. And like everybody always says, do you think it's a conspiracy because the U.S. government and everything else is so inept? Like we always use the DMV as the example. Like, dude, everybody's been in the DMV. It's a hellhole.
I have to go soon. Yeah.
Right. Or everybody's tried to get on for, let's say unemployment or temporary disability because of an injury at work or whatever. And it's such a process and it takes such a long time. I'm like, that's done by design. So there's always plausible deniability. How many times have you been on the phone, let's say a credit card company or some sort of billing processing, right? And you go through voicemail, how did hit one for this, two for Espanol, like you go through this, you go through the whole process, and then you get to, department one, let's call it, and go to department one. And they go, oh, all right. You go through like a 20-minute conversation, rigmarole. They're like, that's not my department. I'm going to transfer you over. Okay, cool. Then you go into the elevator landing music, do, right? Okay. And then you get department 2, let's call it. And you go through, you explain yourself again, you go through the whole rigmarole, and they're like, hold on, that's not our department. Boop. And they transfer you back to the original person you were talking to. Now they both go, not my job, not my job. Who's going to help me? Somebody's got to figure it out. Let me talk to a supervisor. All right. Let's get a supervisor on the phone. Oh, that's not our department.
Wait.
Yeah, 40. So now you've been on the phone for 3 fucking hours. You're so pissed. You don't even want to talk to anybody anymore. And then you end up hanging up because you're like, nothing's getting resolved.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
dude, my favorite is the other day. So I'm dealing with the DMV. I'm switching over my license and my registration. And I had a question about like the appointment only, and I was really like, it can't just be appointment. So like all of Connecticut DMV is now appointment only, which doesn't make it any better. They did not make it any more efficient whatsoever.
It's like making an appointment at a doctor's office for 9:30 and they still see you at 10:20.
Yeah. 10, you mean October 20th?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
3 weeks later.
Yeah. So I called, and so I'm doing press 1. All right, listen to the menu, press 3. And then like the robot is like, we do not accept walk-ins, appointment only, click. Like I didn't even get to talk to anyone or to a department. It was just in the general vicinity of the question I had. And then the robot hangs up on you. Yeah. It's by design. It's by design.
It's the world we're living in, my man.
I know.
Some people just don't give a fuck.
All right, so sorry about that, but what are we getting into here today?
I know you want. There's been a lot. I mean, we could talk a little bit about today about the origins of the China virus.
Which I'm not calling it COVID anymore. Now it's the China virus.
Fucking China virus. Yeah. But I have a theory on that as well. But
yes,
we can really
we're gonna get into.
We're gonna get into it, my man.
Skaggs has been watching the bonus episodes and has been itching to get on, and we'll have him on for one sooner than later. But like
he wants to play me on China.
Yes, he's now sending me questions to give you.
Okay, perfect. I love Skaggs. I love him. So, well, listen, and me and Skaggs we're really in agreement, but it's just the way we go about it. Our answer, right? So we're really in agreement that there's the overlords aren't Chinese or Russian or whatever, Egyptian, whatever the fuck it is, right? But like we're going, they're fighting for similar agendas. The overlords are. It doesn't matter if you're the U.S. president, etc. Right? But so everything's coming out now. About the Wuhan Respiratory Institute of Death released the Respiratory Institute death virus, and they made it from bats and everything else, and like they're coming out. And I know just a couple, I don't know, maybe Last night, I saw it early this morning that Senator Haley, basically, they passed a resolution to release all the information, private
Yes.
information, everything on
Yes.
COVID and the origins. And they're like,
Yeah.
American people need to know. Like,
They,
we fucking destroyed their lives for 3 years. We're
Yep.
in the worst state possible. Like, they need to know why we did this and what's going on and everything else and so on and so forth.
I think they're doing that bill to release all this information just to get out ahead of the storm, because the sooner they get out before this really explodes, and the guy down the hall from me who cleans the washer machine and wears a mask still, like, he's eventually going to find out that, like, he's been played. And like, if they could get out in front of it now before those people actually hear this on CNN that they've been played, like, they could start saying, like, well, we've been telling you guys for weeks now. Yeah, but
we didn't know exactly
yeah.
where it came from in the beginning, so we weren't wrong. No, we did know exactly from.
Yeah.
Me and James went over this on We the People on Tuesday. Like, the exact way they laid out, from eco health funding the NIH to this, to that, to this, to that, to how they drew their conclusion that it came from Wuhan, and they just released this fucking breaking stuff. We knew 2 fucking months into the pandemic.
Yep. Why we were
still locked down. We followed the money. We knew everybody's name. We knew who was in charge. We knew, and we're fucking simpletons in our house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're the idiots.
And I don't want, and that's why, like, at this point in the game, like, I don't want you to claiming stupidity is not an excuse anymore.
Nope.
It's not. Because everything we said, like, we were like, I told you so. I told you so.
Told you so.
Like, and everything that's coming out now is what us, I guess, non-normies have been telling normies since, fucking March of 2020.
Yeah. I was saying to Skaggs, I was like, I would really now like to go back, like,
in our old episodes, and just fucking be like, this is 2 years old.
But even that, but like, go back to, like, all the people in the past that really came down on, like, me or you. Like, I had a boss who, like, if CNN said it, like, you better believe
it was the Bible.
Yeah. I mean, she literally looked at me one day and told me the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. I was like, but there's an actual laptop. She's like, yeah, but it came from Russia, so it's not real. Like, I mean, like, hook, line, and sinker, bought anything. When I laughed, because I remember when Fauci started saying to wear 2 masks. And the next day at work, she showed up with 2 masks on. And I was like, if they told you to wear a purple hat that said, I'm a dipshit, you'd be wearing a purple hat that wore, you know what I'm saying? Like, so
it's
like,
why Cap no longer has a job.
And so I want to, like, go back and, like, talk to these people, because I mean, we had a nurse on very early on, and because we wanted to, like, have, like, a nurse's opinion when COVID was new, because, like, obviously we're not medical experts. I'll give that up any day of the week. I'm no medical expert. And we were talking about,
honorary PhD in medicine from MIT from Dr. Tom Lewis. Me and James did. So just say,
okay, there you go. And so,
do not take my medical advice, though.
Yeah. But, like, she fought us a lot on, like, the COVID regime and stuff. She bought into it. I'd love to see if we could get her back on and be like, why? Like,
so the wild shit with that is we had nurses on, we had doctors on. I went boots on the ground and physically went and met with these people. And that's why I had a very staunch stance. That's why I've held true to my convictions on not getting the jab. And I did my research. Whatever everybody wanted to call me, a YouTube doctor, everything else, it's okay. Like, I don't care. Like, that's the other thing is, a lot of people don't. I think a lot of people don't want conflict in their lives. Nobody does, right? Like, they're very passive. They don't want to. They just want to go along to get along. Everything. I'm not scared of conflict.
No,
I'm not. So that's why, for me, it was like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
I'm from New Jersey.
Yeah,
so you go fuck yourself.
I doubt you had time to listen to the 2 Do Men episode that dropped last night called Be Mean.
I did
And
not. I did
yeah,
not. I
no,
usually listen to most of your guys.
yeah,
I was driving today too. I didn't see it come up because I had a
it
little bit of a
dropped.
drive.
It dropped last night, so
I'm a
that was
terrible
Wednesday.
fan.
Today's Thursday. Yeah,
Terrible fan. I am.
You're not the president of Doom Nation.
Listen, I'm trying to be a super fan, guys.
So anyway,
and I would go by El Guapo. Got it?
Okay. So we talked about Matt Walsh, who went after Dylan Mulvaney or whatever, the trans activist.
I did see something like that.
And so like he makes
is Matt Walsh the one that's like what's a woman?
Yeah. Yes.
It's that guy, right?
And so I'm pretty sure it's him. And so he had these statements about like, if you think me being rude to a group of people who want to promote the mutilation of my children, if you think mean words are the problem, you have no idea how far you'll be disturbed, how far I'll go to protect my children's whose life I value more than my own. And like Skaggs and I came to the conclusion, like it's time to be mean to these people. It's time for confrontation. Like, you know what I mean? Like we can't so Matt Walsh obviously picked, the trans community for the hill to die on and stuff. But like, as time goes on and as the old guard falls apart, as Babylon falls, as Q will call it,
100%,
we need to be mean to these people. The people who come to us, and I'm sorry, you guys were right. I don't think we need to be mean to them, but the people who are going to hold on to the CDC guidelines of week 1, these people need to take a not physical beating, but like we need to start being mean.
Emotional damage.
Yeah. We need to start fighting back. Because the whole thing, like with the protection of China, oh, you call it the China virus, you're racist. You say it's from China, you're xenophobic. No, motherfucker, you're an idiot. Okay, you're as dumb as they fucking come. Like
it's true.
COVID.
We're gonna get into this, but like I also have like this is I guess a disconnect or something in my thought process. You said it pretty clearly, like the people that are holding on to the day one CDC guidelines. Okay. Yeah. Why are they holding on to day one? And these are people that I consider, because I know people that still do, intelligent, everything else, still holding on. When now the CDC is giving them complete guidelines saying the masks don't work. You don't need to stay 6 feet, all that, but they're holding on to their first assumption. And then the same people will be like, well, in the beginning, we didn't know enough. Now it's 3 years later and we know enough and they're telling you to do this. And you are still holding on to that fucking face diaper.
Those are like Klaus Schwab's like fan base. Like, dude,
that is
like he wants, you'll live in the pod, you'll own nothing, you'll be happy, you'll eat the bugs. Those are the people who are like, I can't wait to eat the bugs.
It's true.
But
that goes back to my thing of like, most people don't want conflict. They just want to go along to get along. They want to live in this fucking false reality of like, oh, everything's grand, everything's butterflies and rainbows.
Yeah, and that's gonna end you in the pod.
Or on the cattle car.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking to myself the other day, like
when is it enough?
It's for the establishment, it's never enough. And for the weak, it's never enough until it's too much, until
it's too late.
Yeah. Until they're in the pod, they're on the train, and then they realize like, oh, my phone doesn't
somebody
work
just
anymore.
Took their kid.
Yeah. Like this is now like an issue.
Yeah. I don't have Wi-Fi. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. I did realize at some point, like, I'll make it a divisive comment, but like if our side was to win and we were to drain the swamp and we were to find this peaceful community, there would be a percentage of people, and it's a poor term, that would need some type of re-education camp. Now, I'm not talking about like get on the train and we're gonna beat America First policies into you with a baseball bat with Donald Trump's face on it. You know what I mean? Like
fucking Walking Dead style vegan.
Yeah. No, I don't think it needs to be like that. But there's going to be a percentage of people that like aren't going to. I guess they become like in their vision, like freedom fighters, in our vision, terrorists. I don't know.
I don't even think it would go that far. So, and I think you do have a valid point, but it is scary to talk about going either which way, right? But I think what's going to happen with those type of people is they're either going to simulate or they're going to be the people that mentally crack and we're going to have to take care of them in insane asylums.
Yeah.
So
yes.
No, and like not even being like mean, like we should still take care of them because
be mean.
Well, it's not being mean, it's just being realistic, and realistic sometimes comes off as mean, but it's just stern. So the people that can't accept what's coming down the pipeline, and if it goes in our direction or their direction, and this is what people don't get. Our direction is for everybody's direction. Their direction is for them. Our direction is for them to have the freedom to do their things and think the way they want and do the things they do. Just don't cut off my kids' dicks. Okay. So there's a big difference between our thought processes and their thought processes. Right. But I think those people, as we're seeing, are so mentally fragile, even though that they think they're virtue signaling and they're strong because they got rah-rah participation trophies. They got their little star. They got their little gold stars around their name circles on Facebook. I took my jab. I got this. I stand for Ukraine. They're so getting used to getting patted on their balls or patted on their ass that once it comes out, like once everything is like where it's got, which I think it's heading that way for a lot of things. That's why they're trying to start World War III, because they know that they're fucked and they know that we're not gonna look in a good light. The U.S. Not at all. Not the people, the government. Just like we always say, the Chinese people are great. The Chinese government, not cool. Russian people are great. Some of my best people, drinking buddies, Polish people. Like there's a big difference between the people and the government of these places, right?
Yes.
So you're seeing, that fragility, that mind state. They're not going to be able to live in that world because it's going to be so mind blowing to them. Because the light's been off for so long, they're going to be like cockroaches just scattering because they can't take the light.
And also consider this, a lot of the psyop that has taken place to brainwash these people, and I'm talking about like the people that you're talking about that are going to have this psychotic break because there's too much freedom, because
I know, it's crazy to even listen to what you just said.
Yeah, it's wild. I always argue that people don't understand what freedom is, and they wouldn't be able to handle freedom if it was.
We don't even have real freedom, and we don't. And we're like the freedom fighters, you know. Like, it's crazy.
Give me in Skaggs, 25 acres of land in fucking Utah, Wyoming, whatever. We'd be the happiest two guys.
You going Mormon, bro?
No, I'm not going Mormon, but like fucking
Utah. You go Mormon? I didn't know.
No, we would have our slice of land. We'd be in the middle of nowhere, and we'd be free, and then
15 wives.
With 15 wives, and then it would turn into something like
Waco's. Handle one. You want 15? Like, son of a bitch.
I don't know why anybody would want more than one wife. Jeez Christ, I don't even want to get married.
Hard. It's so hard.
Where the fuck was I going with that now?
Freedom.
Right. They wouldn't know what to do with the freedom. There would have to be like some way of taking care of these people, because the psyop is to weaken America's future. And you were taught and raised to have piss poor values and ideologies and to buy into distractions so our country would be weaker. Now, if we get on this path to a much wildly stronger than anyone could ever imagine, these people are really going to be left behind. Like, how do you assimilate to that type of society when all you've taught was to weaken society? It would be like, there might be a situation where like Klaus Schwab will be like, listen, you guys don't like the freedom? Come live in my pods over here in Davos. Like people might have to leave and go live in pods and eat bugs. I don't know how someone who is so intellectually corrupt and brainwashed that they believe that me and you being unvaccinated should be killed, that they should get their children, they should mutilate their children into a boy or a girl, that they
put the experimental drug on them.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, for the people that are that deep, how do you become part of this new society that is, I mean, going in a direction that you never even imagined? You're even given the freedoms and the rights to go in that new direction, but it goes against everything you stand for.
I think it's going to take a long time to reteach the values and re-educate the people, because I mean, like it's not like it happened overnight here, even though it's at an accelerated speed. I mean, this has been taking place since the 50s and the 60s, right? They've been crying about, oh, the commies are in the parties, oh, this, that, and like now you have like openly communistic people and socialistic people in our government that are like, yeah, I'm part of the Socialist Party, I'm part of this party, like yeah, it's insane. So I mean, that was
if 1960s America could see 2020 America, they'd kick our ass.
I don't know. You're there. They'd be like, mission accomplished, comrade.
Yeah, I guess so.
And it sounds weird because we always make the boogeyman the Russians. We always make the boogeyman the Chinese. We always make the boogeyman this person. It was Iraq. It was Afghanistan.
What if they were really the good guys?
So yeah, I don't even know if I should go there yet. so
get the show canceled real quick.
Real quick, because you guys still put your shit on YouTube. So, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of things coming out, and we've been talking about the China virus coming out, and we've been talking about the jabs and everything else. And I think, this is just a theory of mine I've seen floating around, but it's been my thought process as well. So why are we protecting Ukraine so hard when they're not a NATO nation? Why are we protecting them so hard? What are some reasons? Okay.
Money laundering, the straight corruption. For the governments, for the heads of our government.
For the heads of our government. Yeah. All right. So
probably the establishment throughout the whole world, I would say, use the Ukraine government as a cover to launder any type of money or something like that.
So, I mean, all right, let's just put like some simple terms out there for people. Okay. Like Joe Biden's son, Nancy Pelosi's son, Mitt Romney's son, and the climate czar, John Kerry's son, all sit on energy boards for Ukraine.
Funny enough, I have something for this on.
Okay, so
this travels for both of us. All right, for both topics that we're talking about, the China virus and Ukraine. Have you noticed the same people demanding funding for war? It's the same people who forced lockdowns and vaccine mandates. The people who are all for lockdowns and mandates are the same people all for sending money to Ukraine. George Bush, Joe Biden, Liz Cheney, Lindsey Graham, Hillary Clinton, Mitch McConnell, Mitt Romney, Adam Kissinger, and the mainstream media. They all have that. They have two things in common: absolute mandates and as much money to go to Ukraine as possible. So I think before Joe Biden's out of office, he's gonna try and match the U.S. military budget being sent to Ukraine.
Okay. Yes. Which I don't believe is far off. I mean, we just sent the Secretary of what was it, or the Secretary of Treasury over there to meet with them. Why are we sending our banker to go over there and meet with the fucking president, right? In a war zone, right? We've sent every major fucking U.S. figure over,
including Joe Biden,
war zone. His wife, the vice president, or secretaries of state, senators, fucking Bono, Sean Penn. Everybody's been over there, right? It's so crazy. Everybody's been over there. But this is the wild thing. They want us to go green. The climate czar wants us to go green while he's flying around on his private jets, and his son works for an oil and gas company in Ukraine.
Yeah.
But go green. Okay, so there's that. Then we were all crazy conspiracy theorists when we were talking about the 46 or 48 fucking biolabs that were on the Russian border, U.S. funded biological weapons labs. And everybody said they're crazy. And then the Pentagon goes, we kind of have them there.
Yep.
Right. Then the Russians
go nuts with this.
Then the Russians are coming over and they're going, boom, they're fucking hitting these biolabs. Like I try to tell people, like, how bad can you be at Russia? It'd be the equivalent of Russia coming over to Canada and putting 46 biolabs on the U.S. border.
Yeah.
You'd be like,
Yeah.
go fuck yourself. Get fucked, bro.
Yeah.
You know,
We're destroying them.
doing
Yeah.
that. Then the Ukrainian president orders to burn all the literature, all the files, all the material on unsaid biolabs because Russia's coming over and grabbing them so they can show the world what the fuck the U.S. and Ukraine are doing together.
Yes.
Okay, so this ties in. We can go into this for hours. This could be 3 episodes by itself, right?
Yeah.
And people
This
don't
is
realize.
a very interesting theory from what I shared to you yesterday. So
Yes. So, but this is the thing. So why are we releasing? Oh, now it's okay to say it came from China.
yeah.
Why are we releasing that now? At the brink of World War III with Russia, now China's coming over and saying, hey, we're going to back Russia a little bit on this one, boys. And then all of a sudden, 2 days later, oh, it came from fucking Wuhan.
Yeah.
Oh, you simpletons that got kicked off of every podcast platform, everything else for saying it. Now we can confirm it 3 years later. We didn't know then when they damn well did know then. And we even
they had all the information. Yeah.
We could get all the fucking information on the fucking censored internet.
That Eversource email between the CEO and Fauci was the most damning. That's when it really that's like when I knew, and we're talking that was 2 years ago. That's when I knew you need to dig in your heels and fight this at every cost.
So this is my theory, and this is all just opinion and theory, but this is something to look into. I mean, the maintenance of all the Ukraine stuff, this is all fact. You guys can go fact check me, go look at it, go check it out. I mean, this is Pentagon Papers, this is everything, right? So now, what if we're doing this at the brink where they're saying, oh, we're going to back Russia because Russia and China have the info that this was made in a Ukraine biolab. And then we backtracked it all in 2014 when the Wuhan lab started, but when we also put all the other labs in Ukraine, and there's pictures of President Obama outside the Wuhan lab out in Ukraine at these biolabs, pictures of them like this waving, hey, So it's not a conspiracy theory, but what happens now if they're like, all right, this is just giving us a reason to go after China.
Yep.
And we fucking made all these problems and we self-released it on our own fucking people to get what we want, to hide our money laundering for our own wealth. This is how sick and fucking fucked up people are. All right. The guy who is sitting in the White House, the resident, literally is part of one of the biggest conspiracies and money laundering schemes. He's a fucking criminal. And there's just documents that they're hiding on his son's laptop. Then the head of the fucking house, the speaker of the house, her son's all in on this. Then you got fucking rhinos. You got the climate czars that are telling you to go green. And their kids are on the energy boards getting the money and kickback. And you're still trusting these fucking people?
Yeah. Yeah.
So my thing is at this point, I feel like they're releasing this Chinese information to fucking cover their asses because the shit in Ukraine's coming out and we're throwing money. Then you have Zelensky who has the balls to come out and tell us, you give me more money after we've given them billions and
we'll kill your children. Yeah. We'll send your children to war.
We'll send your children to die in war. And this is not made up oh, they're money laundering. Every fucking government for the past 20 years has said that the Ukrainian government is the most corrupt government in the entire world.
There's Nazis. They literally have Nazis.
Literally have Nazis. They have whole battalions of Nazis with SS shoulders, swastika flags. But and nope. You're a racist. You're a Putin lover. You love this. You're a Moscow mule. You're blah, blah,
so
blah,
I guess
blah.
in 3 years they'll be coming out. Well, we knew that Ukraine was corrupt. So funny. I sent you something yesterday that sparked this topic. It's from Truth Social, so we're not going to share it on here. But Ultra Peppy Lives Matter. This assessment is where I'm leaning as well. I guess I should start with Julian's Rum. Julian's Rum, also Trailer Park Boys throwback. COVID was likely created somewhere other than Wuhan, probably at a U.S.-funded lab in Ukraine. Clowns released in Wuhan to make it seem as though it could have originated from the lab. The Wuhan lab leak was literally the deep state's way of holding Ping hostage. As long as Ping didn't interfere with their plot, the WHO wouldn't accuse China of leaking COVID-19 from the lab. But when China supported Russia's accusations of U.S. biolabs in Ukraine, the WHO pointed a laser right at the Wuhan lab. Isn't it convenient that this all happened? So then in the other truth that I sent you.
This is Pepe Lives.
Yep, this one is from Julian's Rum.
He's a good account, man. Follow him if you can. I used to follow him on Twitter.
Yeah, he used to be real good on Instagram.
And Praying Medic too is good.
I haven't seen Praying Medic in a long time.
He's on Truth.
Okay. On the same day, the Pentagon officially admits funding 46 biological research labs in Ukraine. The WHO reversed its stance on the Chinese lab leak theory, saying it now needed more serious investigation. Well,
another coincidence, my friend.
Yeah, I guess so.
Once you know the playbook, you see the plays coming.
So in layman's terms, basically what we're potentially saying that this new conspiracy, I guess, that China had nothing to do with COVID, that Ukraine created in a biolab in Ukraine, COVID was created. I would like to see, like, I guess they just wouldn't report it, but how early on did Ukraine start seeing cases of COVID? I wonder if, because if they're
but they're right on the border of Russia, and they can sneak right into China, and they can just drop it wherever they want. We covered like 2 months in how the one head of Harvard got arrested, and he's been under arrest for like espionage because of COVID through Harvard, one of the doctors, and then the guys that were working with him were CCP fucking military spies, and they got caught at the airport with vials of human DNA in their briefcases, and this was 2 months in. We knew this 2 months in, and everybody was like, no. And then that's how we tied it from Harvard to North Carolina, Chapel Hill, where they were doing this. And then they were like, whoa, this is biological weapon. And then they're like, let's start an institute in Wuhan.
Yeah, in China, where we could really trust them.
This game is played, that they were setting this up fucking a decade ago, 2 decades ago. Yeah. This plan has been in play. You don't just start take over another country. Like me and James showed the map of NATO, because when we made the agreement after World War II with NATO, with Russia, we would not put any NATO bases, east of Germany. And we did a map, and it was changing colors. And then all of a sudden Norway.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Norway comes in. Now we're on their border. The only country that's not NATO next to Russia is Ukraine.
Yeah.
Only one.
Yeah.
So we've encroached. That's like us going, all right, you can't go north of Brazil. And now all of a sudden they're fucking on the border in Tijuana.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same thing, guys. Like, would you, and what am I a Putin sympathizer? Because I can fucking look at logic and be like, wouldn't want them on the Canadian border biolabs, and I wouldn't want the missile. I mean, do you guys remember a little thing called the Cuban fucking Missile Crisis?
No, they don't. That's the problem. They don't, and that's why anytime Cuban rebels
Northwoods that came out of that,
and anytime Cuban rebels or there's some revolt in Cuba, the media shuts that shit down real quick. The media and Washington doesn't give a fuck about people from Cuba, because no one in Cuba would be buying what the American government's selling right now.
Nope. Why do you think Miami turned red, bitches?
Yeah. Exactly why.
People don't understand that most Hispanic cultures are super conservative.
Yep.
Super conservative. And they fucked up. They thought like, oh, we'll let them over and give them all free shit. They'll like that. They're all fleeing from communism and socialism. Yeah. So they get there. Yeah, they might take your free shit, but they're gonna be like, fuck this. Viva la revolution.
They just want freedom too, man.
Dude, everybody does. The regular people, that's what we want. We all want that same thing. So I don't understand how this is extremism, because we want freedom.
Well, it's extreme because it causes such a chink in the armor to the agenda. That's where you gotta, what's this saying? Like, if you ever want to learn who's in power, just figure out who you can't talk about. You know what I mean? Like, so you get canceled for talking about Israel or the Jews. You get in trouble for talking about China. Yeah, George Soros. Whoever's in charge is the guy you can't talk about, and that's usually who you should be pointing the finger at.
And that's a good indicator.
So yeah, so I mean, it's interesting. Sorry, I'm pulling away from the mic. So it's
Okay.
interesting to see now that the COVID house of cards is falling down, and yet a new conspiracy is going to be born out of it, because now, like, people like me and you will probably get some sort of information of it, like, actually COVID started in Ukraine, and now everybody's going to be backing Ukraine because we're going to be ramping up World War III, and we got to protect Ukraine. And meanwhile, we're
Putin
all going to
puppets
be
we are Putin puppets, they call us.
Meanwhile, we're all going to be coming down on China because the China virus house of cards just fell apart.
Oh, and
So
then they're going to attack Taiwan, and then that's going to be another reason for us to fucking military-industrial complex.
Yeah. So Skaggs' question to you was,
dun dun dun. We got for me, Skaggies.
okay, I'm not ruling out that they are doing this now because they want to lay blame on China and obfuscate blame away from us and our involvement, especially Fauci. Oh, okay. So now that we're pointing this, we're finally coming out that China released this virus. It was a lab leak in China. They're gearing up to go to Taiwan. Do you believe this is a great way to motivate conservatives to go to war against China? Would be confirming our conspiracies about the virus and blaming it solely on the CCP? Would now that like the lab leak is true, or it potentially is true, it might be, enshrouded in another cover up. Would this be a good way to get like conservatives to do that?
No, this is exactly what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
It's their war cry. It's the war cry of the eagle, bro, screaming eagle. So no, it's exactly what it is. It's just what the thing we read before off of either Julian's Room or Pepe Lives Matter, right? Yeah. Like they were saying, like, oh, it's kind of funny when we figure out there's 46 biolabs, then the next day it's a lab leak from China. Now, Trump's been pointing his finger at, like, let's play devil's advocate here. Trump's been pointing his finger at the China lab leak the whole time. Okay. Trump gets most of as president, he was getting some of the most highly classified intel that anybody on the planet gets to look at. Correct?
Yes.
But we could also agree that he was getting very bad intel from the people around him. And very bad advice from the people around them.
And they've done this before. They did it to Bush.
Okay, so
it's
I'm
documented.
Just gonna, since we're on COVID, I'm just going to bring up this little video. Now, this is this lady. This lady was the head of the COVID task force with Dr. Fauci, wrote a book on it, forced the fucking jab down your throat, everything else. All right, we're just going to bring this up for you. Okay, I'm going to go a little screen share here. Here we go. Make it big. We'll start from the beginning. Hold on one second.
Dr. Brinks.
I knew these vaccines were not going to protect against infection, and I think we overplayed the vaccines. I knew these vaccines were not going to protect against infection, and I think we overplayed the vaccines.
Hold on one more time.
I knew these vaccines were not going to protect against infection, and I think we overplayed the vaccines. I knew these vaccines were not going to protect against infection, and I think we overplayed.
All right,
I watched this bitch on live TV say 100% safe and effective.
Exactly, right?
Time to be mean, people. It's time to be
mean. Exactly. So, with all that going on, correct, and everything else, these were the people around him giving him his advice on public health policy. The guy who funded the lab, the guy who started the projects, the guy who was in charge of everything was giving him advice. The lady who was second in charge of everything knew that this wouldn't work, wrote a book on it, told the whole country we have to mask and we need to get this and all that. Now she's live on TV going, I knew we overplayed it. I knew this. I knew that. Like, you should be
getting
fucking
out in front
Gitmo.
of it. Yeah.
And you motherfuckers should be charged for war crimes, crimes against humanity, crimes against your own people. This is ridiculous. They are literally telling you that we did not give a shit about you. We knew this was wrong. We told you that you were liars and scared and this, and you didn't like your grandmother and everything else when we knew none of it would work. We caused such divisiveness. We allowed rallies and burnings and mass protests and this and that and all that other stuff to go on. Because why?
Yeah, because we could
start a fight.
Could. Yeah,
start a fight
to divide us. You know,
Orange man bad.
Yep. This is another. I just took a screenshot of this tweet.
You took the jab, didn't you?
Yeah, yes, I did. From Kyle Becker.
Okay.
If the COVID lab leak theory being a conspiracy theory was a lie, and 15 days to stop the spread was a lie, and masks work to stop the spread was a lie, and the vaccine mandates will stop the spread was a lie, and natural immunity is a myth was a lie, and there are no side effects was a lie, and safe and 100% effective was a lie, then you could pretty much bet that whatever the US government is telling you right now about anything is a lie.
You would think so, right?
Yeah.
You would think so. Most normal people would read that and be like, that's a pretty good point. But then you still got your double maskers like fucking
I understand,
Julio
but
fixing the thing down the hall from you.
I was at a pretty busy mall last weekend, and I gotta say though, over 95% of the people in that mall were not masked up. You know what I mean? No mask,
and that's in Democratic run Connecticut.
Yeah. And you go out to the bars in New York and in the Bronx and over here in Connecticut and stuff. And I'm sure you go to places, even going to church here in Connecticut. I would like to say everywhere I go, over 90 to 95% of the people are not masked up. I think a lot of people have moved.
Only took
this.
you 3 years.
Yeah, well, that's true. I do think there is a white pill in all this, and we need to understand that the people who are still on week 1 of the CDC guidelines, the percentage of people who are going to fight these allegations, I really believe that community is as large as the trans community. 2%, 2% of the fucking country. That's I said this the other day. I'd like to get your opinion on this quick side topic. I feel that because Skaggs and I's last episode was about the trans community. I feel that the percentage of the population that will cancel you and call you transphobic and defend these wild ideologies that come along with the trans community, not that the trans community promotes this all the time. I think that the virtue signaling social justice warriors of cancel culture, the percentage of them is larger than the actual percentage of the trans community.
I agree with you 1,000%.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's because it's the same people that put the Ukrainian flag in their profiles. It's the same person that I put the COVID vaccine and experimental gene therapy in my body. It's the same people. They need to rah-rah. They need to say, I'm virtually better than you. My values are better. Like, those are the same people, like I said, need a pat on the back and a good job and a participation trophy.
Yeah.
And we raise that culture. And then it's going to be up to us to weed that culture out of these people.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, like, I think the people that are like this now are fucked.
Oh, yeah.
They're just fucked.
Especially
I think it's going to be the generation after and the generation after. Like, I see, people like, myself and other people that are more, libertarian, freedom loving, people, they're raising their kids and they're pulling it back. Like, we're the 1980s kids that like still grew up with the Budweiser, that giant orange ashtray where everybody's chain smoking around your birthday cake while you're jumping shit off there, and you got beer cans on your bike and you're like, right? Like, that's my age. And there was a lot of good things about that culture, but that we were also the culture first, generation raised on, all these processed foods and all this stuff. And now we're in our 40s and like, why do we have anxiety? Why do we have so much of this? Why do we have so much of that? Why are all our kids like, when I was growing up, there was probably 2, kids with autism in our whole school district. Now there's 4 classrooms filled. Like it's like, what is going on? Why is there 75 fucking jab mandates now? Instead, when we were kids, there was 25
18,
or whatever it was, right? So I feel, the ones that aren't getting propaganded or even close to it, because, some people are still like, oh, I don't want to rock the boat. I think this way, but I'm going to just go along and I'm going to just, make people feel comfortable. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care if you're comfortable. Like,
no, life's not about being comfortable. Yeah.
Dude, I train jujitsu, and one of the biggest sayings in jujitsu is you get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Your job is to get comfortable and stay cool, calm, and collected in very uncomfortable situations, scenarios, etc. So I'm okay with conflict. I don't like peace. I want war. Right. So you ever see that meme? I want war all the time. Right. But no, we're getting to that stage where those people, I don't think it's going to be right now, but I'm seeing that generation starting to parent their kids a little bit. Like the new age parenting got too much bullshit. So you're taking the good things from there and you're putting the old school back together. And you're
go
trying
outside
to find
and
some
drink
equal
from the
ground.
hose, you little mutant. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think for the future, if things start changing for the better, where it will be all right, but there's still like the 18 to 25 right now that's behind me, that they're eventually, I don't foresee unfucking them. I see 18 and younger unfucking them, but like, because there's still going to be this weird,
I got a question for you.
This weird thing. Hold on, let me finish. There's still going to be this weird thing where, okay, let's say the deep state crumbles. We have this new utopia, whatever. And then like people your age and then people my age become in charge. And we have this level of peace now or prosperity. But then the people directly behind me are eventually going to become in charge. And then we're going to get this liberal digging where basically we're going to be able to, by them, they might be able to start over this whole agenda,
So, all right.
I guess it's got to fall again, but
I mean, what was I forget who it was? It was either like Jefferson or Hamilton was like, you need a revolution every 20 years.
Yeah.
But so my question for you is that 18 to 24-year-olds, we always talk about them, right? But at the same time, how many fucking based 18 to 24-year-olds are there too?
Yeah.
You're seeing these base kids going in and they're challenging and they're doing and they're keeping their values and they're digging their heels on their values, right? We see the purple hair, they get the biggest spotlight. It's easy to put a focus or like a micro focus lens or a magnifying glass on a certain, like they did with COVID. Oh, the numbers are so bad. They were the same as the fucking flu numbers.
Yeah.
But when all they show you is this shiny thing over there and they don't show you the rest of the perspective, it's like a horse with blinders on. All he sees is in front of him. He doesn't know there's anything else around him because you put the blinders on. But once you take the blinders off, he's like, oh, I can run over that way. I can run over this way, right? So, I mean, I know we bash on the millennials and we bash on whatever the Gen Zers or whatever it is. Like we bash on the youngers, but I want to give credit where credit's due because I've met a lot of people. A lot of the younger kids that are like, oh, they think a certain way, especially because we're in a very like liberal area, right? A very blue area. They think a certain way and they're like, oh yeah, you should, binary and this. And then I have other kids that are like, fuck that noise.
Yeah.
I am not listening to that bullshit. You're not going to tell me that fucking purple is red and red is orange.
And I'm a girl. Red.
Yeah. They're like, nuh-uh, not happening. Like, so there is hope because like I said, the parents that are putting, good, conservative values. And I like literally forever, I've considered myself, financially conservative and socially liberal. Yeah. I am now considered a domestic terrorist because I don't want my kids to chop their dicks off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want somebody telling me that I can't run my business. And I don't want somebody forcing me to take a gene therapy that is fucking killing people. And it's not just like, oh, they're just saying that. There's people I physically fucking know and touch that I know have strokes. That's where I'm mad.
Yeah.
And they didn't believe me. And I kept saying, like, I'm not upset that you're not believing me. I'm upset for you not being upset at the right person.
Yeah.
Well, I'm upset because I love and care about you, and I don't want these things to happen to you. But you're mad at me for giving you the fucking information, and now you're in the corner fucking twitching, and you can't use your face or your fucking arm anymore.
Well, the good thing is now that house of cards is falling down, and you could go back and revisit all this with those people.
But those people still will not admit it. There's a lot of people out there, and that's where I said that's the lost cause.
You know, and they're the ones that'll happily go live in the pod while me and you have absolute freedom.
1,000%.
You know, but you got to be mean. I fully think that you need to revisit what these people think and know and how they treated you. You know, at least getting an apology out of people. You know, at the bare fucking minimum, get an apology out of people.
It's at this point,
it's worthless. I get it, but still.
No,
vengeance.
but the best apology is fight with us.
Oh, well, yeah. Well,
you have to say sorry.
That's
get on the bus, cuz.
That's the funny thing with our domestic terrorist side versus the progressive left is the progressive left is super inclusive. You know, if you don't give 100% compliance, you are not part of the group.
Well, it's funny. It comes from the party that wants to include everybody as long as they think like them.
Yes. Yeah. I tell people all the time, I have no interest in equity. I want equality, and equality is nothing like equity. If you think you want equality, trust me, you do not want to be equal. If that's your mindset, you do not want to be equal because you're going to fucking hate being equal.
But it's not realistic.
What, equity?
Yeah, not everybody brings the same shit to the table.
Yeah, no.
The shit you can bring to the table for a certain set of skills is not the same I can bring to the table. And let's say in that instance, whether you're like fucking master archery man, we're outside, we're fucking hungry, and you're slaying shit, you're killing shit. Man, I can't even kill nothing with a fucking rock or a boomerang, all right? Boom. But who's more valuable in that situation?
Yeah.
You.
Yeah.
So I might give you a handy so I can get some fucking food and then we're good. But then you're like, you know what? I'm great at capturing rainwater and filtering it. You thirsty motherfucker? Who's more valuable at that point? We're not equal.
I know. We'll put you at the front gate to, jujitsu any marauders,
Listen, that's fine. But like you have to be real. And I think I've talked about this before on other shows. Socialism works for certain things. But once you get to the magic number of, I think it's like 100 people or 500 people, it falls apart.
Yeah.
Because if you have community
50,
is so big.
Yeah. If you have 100
so big
apples and
then
50
you have
people. Yeah.
Well, that's the whole thing. And it's like, oh, okay, everybody does their part. But then it gets to the point where there's extra people that have no part to do that are just taking the food.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they go, hey, there's more of us. We need more. And you're like, why am I fishing all day, giving away all the fish? And they're just sitting there getting fat and eating them. And I'm doing all the work. And the guy scaling them's doing all the work. And then the guy who cooking them's doing all the work. And the guy that's doing all this is doing all the work. And these fat motherfuckers are just sitting there.
And the people who assigned you to fishing and scaling and cooking are sitting back in a nicer house.
Or even the same house without doing the work.
Yeah. Once it gets too big, and the state will always develop. The state will always develop. Because like you said, like if I'm a master hunter and I'm providing food and it's the end of the world and I live with 20 other people, well, guess what? I have the skills and resources to hunt and keep us fed. You now all turn to me to make decisions, possibly to help out when needed.
That's how leadership is born into these roles, and that's how government starts again. And
then I become the state of the 20 people.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You're good at helping me, so now you're my right hand guy, and the two of us now become the state.
Mm-hmm.
and the state is born, and it's inevitable. It's wildly inevitable.
But it needs to be checked and balanced at all times.
Yeah.
So
even if it was just
control.
you, how many you got? What, 3 kids? You said?
Yep.
You, your wife, and 3 kids, 5 people. You live out on a farm in the middle.
I'm
of
the
nowhere.
dictator. I don't give a fuck. I'm Stalin.
You're the state. You become the state on that little farm.
No, it is, man. I know. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
Your own households are mini governments.
Yeah. That's the way it is.
Yep.
All right. Do we got anything else to cover? Are you good, my friend?
Wow, dude, I think we covered a lot, and we dissected a lot of stuff in that stuff. So if you guys can, make sure you guys like, subscribe, share. You can catch them on YouTube because they are still
good
by
little
the Communist
boys.
Party. But you can check us out on all major platforms. Check out the Patriot Podcast Network on Roku TV. Give us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it if you think we're 5-star worthy. And check out Cap Show To Do Men. They just dropped an episode last night, so Wednesday, if this comes out on Friday. They drop one. Go check that out, and you can check out my show, Sergeant and the Samurai, me and Stevie, and also check me out on Winning Wednesdays with my co-host James from We the People Radio. We mash it up, and I was on We the People Radio this week, so if you want to go check out We the People Radio, go check them out and give them a follow as well. But guys, really help us with the shares and the follows, because we are shadow banned to craziness. So get the information out there if you like what we're saying, and we appreciate all of you.
There we go. All right, guys. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Peace out.
Later.